In today's live stream video, we're going to discuss my guest's reselling business, including how to sell items on eBay and other e-commerce sites at 10 times your cost of goods. My guest will share her tips and strategies to help make us more successful and profitable resellers. Every Wednesday, I have a live stream, and I usually interview another reseller, and I have them share their tips, tricks, and techniques to help make us more profitable and knowledgeable resellers. So if you are interested in reselling, then you are in the right place. It's going to pop in the chat, say a little few people, and we shall get started very shortly. I know Randy is here, Bobby is here, my guest is here. I'm sure the chat will be filling in shortly. There's some baseball games on and whatnot, so I'm sure some people will be here for live and some people are watching the replay. But like I like to say, the people are watching the replay, I appreciate you guys being here, and I don't want to keep you waiting. So we shall get started, and I'll bring my guest on, and I'll have her introduce herself. And my guest today is Angie from Angie Resells. So I'll have Angie introduce herself, and we shall get started. Hello, hello.
Hey there. How you doing today, Adam?
We're doing fine. Thanks for joining us tonight and sharing your information about reselling.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here. I am Angie Resells. I have been an eBay seller for, 24 years now. It is actually my full-time job. I support my entire family just on eBay. I also have a YouTube channel, which is the same, Angie Resells, where I talk about reselling, how-tos, just some of the adventures and the crazy things that happens as a reseller. I also talk about living debt-free and how you can do that and accomplish doing self-employment while still being debt-free. And I like to help, especially like work at home or stay-at-home moms or retirees or other people like that, get started on eBay to help them with financial burdens that they have, or just to make extra money for their families and just improve their lives in general. I do have a live show every Saturday, which is a live sale and auction. And that happens 9 p.m. Central Time every Saturday. And up until last week, I had a Wednesday live, but I'm sure that'll be coming back. It'll be in a new format. Unfortunately, my co-host decided that he was no longer doing YouTube. So be on the lookout for a new show coming soon on Wednesdays for me live.
New show coming soon to you nearby on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, I have one more thing. I forgot to say that I'm also a member of the Let's Do Lunch podcast, which is a brand new podcast made by and for a women's perspective in reselling in life and just online adventures. Guys are always welcome too, but that is every single Friday on the Let's Do Lunch podcast, noon Central. And we have some great guests, including last week was Carrie American Arbitrage. This week is Kat the Nurse Flipper. Next week is the niche lady, Danny. So we have some great people on there and would love to have you come and do lunch with us.
Okay. What platforms are you on your podcast?
We obviously are on YouTube, but we are syndicated in Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. So pretty much anywhere that you can listen to podcasts, we're on there, or we will be soon.
Okay. And who is your co-host or co-host?
That is Rachel Strickland and
Rachel, okay.
Kristen, a rural squirrel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kristen's on the road a lot, so it must be difficult for her to do that.
Yeah, but we decided, podcasts are one of those things that they go really well as long as you're consistent about it. So we have it just as part of our weekly schedule that, it's on our calendar every single week, and we make adjustments as necessary, but we definitely make it a priority so that we can do it every single week at the same time. So people can be expecting it every single week without fail.
Yeah, like YouTube, you know as well as I do, that consistency is key on YouTube. Make sure you're here at the same times. Okay, sounds good. We have our friend Tommy in the chat here. Tommy, keep it clean, my friend. It's TG Tommy. Well, I told Angie the story with Tommy about what you had said during when I was trying to promote their last show, Angie and Bobby, and what you had said in the chat. And you said the same thing in their chat too. So we don't have to repeat it. But anyway, it's always good to see you, Tommy. Thanks for being here. Lisa's in the chat as well. Always good to see you, Lisa. Thank you for being here. Okay, guys, we're gonna get into the like I said, the meat and potatoes. It said Rachel Strickland, So I know she's vegan, so I had to say meat and potatoes. That's popped in my mind.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't eat meat. But anyway.
No, she doesn't.
Okay.
Tofu. She'll eat some heck out of some tofu, but
right. Looking forward to listen to your podcast. And guys, I tell you too, just as a refresher, I ask people, like I tell you guys, I'm not monetized on YouTube, so if you can play my videos just like my live streams, just like a podcast, playing in the background. I tell people sometimes, say you're listening or doing something, you're driving in a car or whatever, and something comes on important. Don't do this while you're driving, obviously. But when you're listening, you can watch that little portion of the video and just listen to it in the background. I do that with some of the other resellers as well. I play their videos. Like sometimes if I can't fall asleep, say at night, so I just pop on their YouTube video or pop on their podcast and I listen. It helps them. And just like on YouTube, like, share, I guess subscribe on YouTube, but I guess like and give a 4-star review on podcast.
How many hours do you need, Adam?
I don't even know anymore. I don't even look. Well, it's the 4,000 hours.
Yeah.
Plus the at least 1,000. So I think I have like 1,600 subscribers.
Yeah.
But I always have problems with the 4,000 watch hours. And I had mentioned to you, I tell you guys, I always do pre-interviews with my guests. And I mentioned to Angie, I'm going to try to repurpose some of my lies. And most of you guys know Johnny, the Cajun Roots reseller, and Johnny uses the same editing software as I'm trying to learn. And I have a little bit of difficulty. So speaking of podcasts, I'm going to try to repurpose some of that. I need to learn how to use my editing software. That's the way to grow the channel. You have to have videos per se, because people are, especially younger people, are very, they're into the TikTok and they're into short little snippets and shorts. And so that's what they're into. They're not into the hour-long live stream, so to speak.
You don't have to have 4,000 hours. You just have to have, what is it, 30 million views on shorts.
Oh, that's only 30 million views. Yeah.
That's all. You can get that really quick.
Well, I'm not going to be doing any dancing or singing or any of that stuff. So I'm not going to get 3 million views. Anyway, all right, we'll get back to the content. Like I said, the meat and potatoes of the show. I know you and I had discussed you're predominantly on eBay. Why don't you tell us what platforms you're selling on and why you're selling predominantly on eBay?
Well, I've done eBay since they were in their infancy, essentially. I heard about it when I lived in Hawaii. My neighbor told me, hey, there's this place you could sell stuff. And I was like, what? Online? That seems crazy. And I kind of fell in love with it even way back then. I've tried other platforms. I've tried Poshmark and Mercari, but I've never done Etsy. I've never done Depop, but I've also Facebook Marketplace. I did it really well with Facebook Marketplace in their infancy when they first were doing shipping. But it all comes down to volume. eBay has the volume and the others don't. Now I have tried more consistently with Mercari and Poshmark when I was trying out Flip, which is a cross-listing service, just so I could give, an actual whether I actually liked them and could recommend them. But just predominantly, I find that it's better for me to concentrate on spending all my time listing rather than cross-posting to other markets. Now, I don't say that that's perfect for everyone, but that's just what I do and what works for my business.
Right. I want to get a little bit later. We'll talk about Flip. Like I said, there's several subjects I want to talk about as your reselling business, but I know I've had other people on that have used Flip, and a lot of people use List Perfectly. It seems that, I don't cross list because I don't have a huge store like some of the other people do, but eventually I tell people I want to build up my store like anybody else does. You try when you get your, so many sales per day and set goals as far as dollar amounts, listing amounts, etc. But so, if you're on multiple platforms, it's pretty good to use cross-listing platforms, and they all have their pluses and minuses. And Mike, that's in the chat, Flipping Goodies, he uses Shopify, but now I did on my last news show that eBay is doing away with the Shopify version for eBay. So it's like, okay. Mike thought he had a great platform to use, which he still loves Shopify. But eBay isn't going to support it anymore. So it is what it is.
Exactly.
Okay. Hey, Ryan, good to see you. Thanks for popping in.
Ryan.
Okay, guys, let me get into the next section of the show, so to speak. I just want to ask you a little bit. I know we said eBay is your main platform, and I typically like to ask that because everybody does things differently. And one thing I got a little sidetracked was you're also up in the panhandle of Florida. So obviously, I like to tell people kind of generally where my resellers are, so they kind of know everyone has different sourcing opportunities. So you're up in the Panhandle, correct?
Yes, I'm in Pensacola, Florida. 5 minutes from my house, I have a Goodwill bins, but it's literally, I think, the smallest Goodwill bins in the country. You can source there, but it's not necessarily going to be a ton of great stuff. I do have another Goodwill bins about 45 minutes away in Mobile, Alabama. We don't have really any of the Amazon stores, like the Amazon bin stores here.
Right.
We did have one, but it closed. It didn't make it after about a year and a half. And of course, we have Goodwill, which I don't really shop at. But fortunately, we do have a lot of yard sales year round here. And we do have some church run thrift stores that are really good that I like to go to. So that's mostly where I source, but I love my area, but it's just not, we don't get like high brands and things like that. We're more bread and butter kind of items. And I have been saying, I really want to be able to like make more contacts and find more of a wholesale kind of place that I can buy stuff. But for now, I'm definitely doing, a lot of one-offs and stuff. And part of the fun is the hunt for all the items. So I do enjoy that a lot.
Yeah, you love the treasure hunt. Like most resellers, you love the treasure hunt, but you're very good with listings because, I mean, what was it, 3,500 active listings you have? Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
That's a lot of active listings and to be managing. And obviously I won't get into too much detail, but we must have a pretty good inventory system because, I mean, I would go crazy trying to find things. And we all know what happens. It happened to all of us for resellers, not being able to find something or having something sell on another platform and then, sells on eBay. We go, I don't want to get into details. We all know what to do. You honor eBay, especially you, because you're predominantly on eBay.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do, as far as, the cross posting, that's the biggest thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think Flip.
Looks like you're frozen.
Come to a point where they can take your listings off of all the platforms when one sells. I don't see the value in paying them when you can do it for free with Flip, which essentially does the same thing.
Right. And Flip has the mobile apps. It has iOS and on Android as well, correct?
Yeah. And so, but I'm not a big cross poster or anything. I've tried it, but for me, I like the idea that they also can do Poshmark sharing and all that kind of stuff. So if you're into different formats like that, then, it's a good program, to have, but I stick with eBay mostly.
Right. Okay. Like I said, I like to find out how other people run their eBay businesses per se, which had a little bit of pre-show. Which tell a little bit about people, how you run your store. Do you run sales, promoted listings? How do you typically run your eBay store?
Yeah. Oh, and I guess I didn't even answer your question, Adam. Inventory system. I literally, right. So I read something. Inventory system. Yes. I always recommend when you start new, getting an inventory system. Daily Refinement has a great system. Mine is a little bit different. I do like bins with letters and different services or systems, but have a system regardless of what it is. You'll be so thankful you did. I still lose items once in a while. It happens. But as far as sales and things like that, absolutely. Number one, I do like the retail sales, which is mark everything up 10% off the bat so if I want $10 or something, I list it at 11 and I automatically am running a sale on everything for 10% off. It's the psychological aspect for people like having something on sale. I am a big proponent of promoted listings because just like if you had a brick and mortar store, you have to pay for advertising. You need to find a way to get people to come to your store. It's the exact same thing with eBay, except for you're paying eBay for those advertising, for that marketing of your items through promoted listings. And so I do use that, and that definitely increases my sales. But I do best offer on all of my listings so people can make me offers. Okay. And I send out best offers to any watchers. And once in a while, I will run sales. A big thing that I do is and clothing, especially items, get to be stale after they've been there a year or whatever, I will put them into a category of clearance clothes. So I can actually run a 50% off sale off of those items. so that I can still be moving old inventory. So I do a lot of it. The only thing I haven't really done, I'd say, is coupons. I just haven't been I've tried it, but I haven't been super successful with coupons. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but it just doesn't seem to work for me. So maybe someone could give me tips on running the coupon sales, because it's I just can't seem to like sell anything that way.
Well, I typically shout out Beth Reseller Rowboat. So Beth, if you're watching the replay, here's your shout out. Beth does do coupons. She has a very good inventory system. So I've learned a lot of stuff from Beth. I mean, she's very analytical when she's in the numbers, and like I said, I think has ballpark kind of sort of the same amount of listings as you do. So I mean, and she works a full-time job. So she's working a full-time job, and she's doing reselling pretty much full-time. She has elderly parents and elderly, I guess, in-laws as well that she helps take care of. So it's difficult. But Beth does great. She just does videos on shipping and inventory and running coupons. And I know Randy, I mentioned to you several times, but Randy ran a sale. Randy could explain it better than I did. He ran a coupon, and then the QR code was screwed up, and I don't know what he was selling. He was selling a piece of clothing or something, or when it was products, it was a few dollars, and it showed like a Rolex watch or something. I know I'm screwing up the story, Randy, but whatever it was something I think it was selling for like $20, and he showed something that was like $500 on his coupon. It's like, really?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But I tend to call eBay glitch bay, and it happens from time to time. But
whoa. Scan one came with someone else's listing.
There it is. Here's Randy. Okay. I used to do coupons by scan one, and up came someone else's listing. Right.
Oh my God.
Like I said, I think it was like 30 or 40 times with the product that he was selling.
Well, Tommy, you're going to have to tell me how you do it, because I just can't seem to like get it to work. I mean, obviously I know how to run it. I know how to set it up. It's just I'm not transitioning those into sales with the coupons.
Right.
I don't know how I'm doing it that, can make it work better. So
I wonder if you do like a printed coupon and include that with the packing with your order when you ship it. Maybe that would work. I don't know.
Maybe. How
are you doing it? Were you just putting a coupon on your store?
Yeah, I have done the coupons on the store mostly, because the way, at least in my store, I don't get a lot of repeat customers after the fact. I'll get people who will buy something and then buy multiple items at the same time. But, I'll get some repeat customers, but by far it's almost all like first time buyers. It's just,
gotcha.
eBay is so big, and you have to have the exact items people are looking for. So.
Exactly. Okay, now on your promoted listings, do you do kind of what Tommy does? Do you do the recommended plus, or do you do how do you work your promoted listings?
I typically do, and I got this from Tommy, and so I do promoted, or the trending rate, whatever eBay says, and plus anywhere from 2 to 3%, except for the 1 week when I forgot to turn it back on and my sales stopped for the week.
I remember that video.
Do that.
Yep, I remember that video. Yep. Tommy saying the public coupon, not the other cheesy ones. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I did. Maybe I just didn't run it long enough. Maybe I need to do a higher percentage, something. I don't know. I need to look into it more for sure.
And Mike says he uses promoted and coupons only.
That's really good to know, seriously, because obviously anything to add more sales is what we want to do. We're all about.
That's why we're here.
I have plenty of listings. We want to drive as many sales as we can. So I'm open always for new ideas and new thoughts. That's a great thing about YouTube, is we can all like talk together and find out what's working for everyone, so we can try new things.
Right. Now, you said you do. How is sourcing? You said you go into Alabama for your Goodwill bins because your local Goodwill bins isn't all that great. How do you make out at that bin?
Well, I mean, I do go to my Goodwill bins because they're it's 5
so close.
minutes away,
Right.
Yeah. But I do like to go over to the other one. The problem with mine is we have very few clothes. Almost everything is hard goods and shoes and things like that. So, if I want to stock up on clothes, I really can't do that there. So it depends. If we have church sales or yard sales and things, a lot of times I can get really good clothes. But when it's slow or we've had bad weather for long periods of times, oftentimes I'll go over to Mobile, because they're the opposite. That's a much bigger Goodwill bins, and they have bins and bins worth of clothes. So you can literally spend all day and get a ton of clothes. So it just depends on how my other sourcing is going for the week. You just never know with our weather here in Florida. And I don't know, this year was very odd in that we had no yard sales this summer. People just weren't into it. But now that fall is here and the weather has broke, it's been like crazy. We have so many yard sales. There's no way you could possibly go to them all. So feast or famine.
Yeah, see, that's the exact opposite here, because we have your heat of the summer. We have it basically when yard sales are typically happening. Other places, it's nasty here, which obviously it's too hot for you to have sales.
Yeah.
And then our yard sales pretty much end the beginning of October. And then I'll start back up again, typically till like the end of May. April showers bring May flowers. So it's raining all the time up here in April. So basically we have like May-ish and middle of May, basically to the beginning of October. That's a whole yard sale season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you have estate sales year round?
Yes.
Yeah. Our estate sales here though are pretty expensive, with the exception of like one or two companies. And I just don't know how they get rid of all the stuff, because they really even if they, they'll have like an old Fisher Price toy and they want $58. I'm thinking even at half price, it's overpriced. So I don't know how they get rid of all their stuff.
Networking. There's people that watch my show all the time. I always talk about networking. I've been shouting out Mike, because Mike is a great business person. And he has connected with several different, estate sale companies. And he actually gets like preview sales. They'll say, hey, Mike, I know you're looking for this, that, and the other. Before I even put the pictures up, they say, once you come up, we'll put a little bundle together. You buy what you want, and then I'll put the ad up. I'll put the pictures up.
Nice.
And he knows from going to all these different estate sales that some are reasonable, some are very reasonable, some are extremely high. And like you said, his son, I think, lives closer to the Orlando area, and he says very, very pricey in that Orlando area in Florida. But I guess for his region, it's not quite as bad. And he knows, who was competitive and who's not. And plus he gets like pick of the litter. He gets to go through and pre-shop the sales.
That's not a bad idea. So I guess I need to be talking more.
You should definitely hook up with Mike, because Mike's very, very good with estate sales. I mean, I know you do things with the local thrift stores, and you do things with the bins. But I mean, that's an opportunity too, especially in Florida, because there's Florida is, I don't want to probably mayor should or shouldn't say it, but God's waiting room is Florida. So there's a lot of estate sales. Mike does very well with golf clubs. Because maybe people move down there when they're in their their 40s or 50s, and then they get in their 60s and 70s and 80s, and they don't play golf anymore. So
that's true. We do get a lot of golf clubs down here for sure. And I agree with you, Adam. I mean, I guess I've been trying to build relationships with other things. Like there's a consignment store in my area that they have an amazing clearance rack, and I've just I always tell people, definitely what you just said, build relationships, because they know what I do. And over the years of just coming in and like shopping their racks and talking to them, they tell me now when they're going to put new stuff out. So they'll call and say, Angie, we're going to put a ton of stuff out. And they even hold it now in the back room for me. So I get to go through everything new on the clearance before anyone else gets to see it. Now I'll go in and buy 100 items or whatever. So it's worth it for them to call me, but that's a relationship no one else has there. So, if you have a chance to like make a relationship with that, definitely do it.
I tell people it's as simple as like being nice sometimes. I mean, and now with the pandemic, everything it's difficult, but back in the day, I used to be very friendly with like the clerks at the Goodwill, and I mean, we all know how Goodwill prices have gone through. But, back in the day when they were competitive, I'd be friendly with the manager, I'd be friendly with the clerks, and just something as simple like I told you earlier in a pre-chat that Randy was going to pick something up, a wholesale product up. And he brings donuts. So he saves them like 3-4 hours a time, because the guys will even like on their lunch break, they'll stop what they're doing. They'll take care of Randy, bring him right to the front, pack him up, get their donuts, and he's on his way. So sometimes it's bring somebody some. I mean, I'm not gonna, because Randy's a coffee aficionado. I was gonna say Dunkin' Donuts coffee, which is not that great, but anyway, bring somebody some coffee or some donuts or something. It can't hurt you. I know somebody, I forget who it was telling me that they, I think it was a friend of mine. Oh, that's what it was, because I used to be in the wine and liquor business. I used to sell wholesale. And he knew one of his clerks that did a lot of the ordering. her birthday was coming up. So she just made it like off the cuff. Oh yeah, my birthday is next week. So he bought her like a $50 gift card, Amazon gift card or something. His business
Wow.
increased like tenfold.
Yeah,
Because no one
absolutely.
else did it. Because you remembered my birthday?
Yeah,
Oh, sure.
exactly.
Everybody, sometimes it's the simple things, guys. I mean, just
Flipping Goody said, not this weekend. It's freezing in Florida. It
yeah. I
was
posted
68
that. Yeah,
today. I know,
we're
I'm
talking
in
about the weather.
Pensacola, so
Mike, we
we're down
have
here
frost
freezing.
warnings here. We have frost warnings here the next 2 days. That's how cold it's going to get up here. So I'm
Well,
sure
it's going to get
Mike used to
like
live on
in the
Long
50s.
Island, so I'm sure he doesn't miss the cold either.
Well, what is Tommy said? He's doing a 5% public coupon.
Is that what Tommy's doing?
So a little less than a third of sales use the coupon. Okay. Tommy, you have me sold. I'm going to try it tonight. That's it.
Whoops, I hit the wrong thing here. We don't want to do that. There we go.
Robert. Hey, Robert. That's Upstate Scavenger.
Yeah, I was trying to post something in the chat, and I must have hit like a hotkey or something. It's like, what the heck?
Business cards, most valuable reselling tool? Really?
I see. Mike, you've been watching my show. I'm just joking with you, Mike. That's another thing I say all the time. And I was telling my friend, guys, and I probably shouldn't say this on YouTube, but I will. I share some personal information. I needed some homeopathic medicines. So I always talk about having business cards, like Mike has mentioned, when you run out, giving out business cards or whatnot. And you can use a Google Voice number. You don't have to give them your cell phone number, but we all know that's coming to your cell phone number, right?
Right.
So what I did was they had a discount. It's like 10% off if you spend X amount of dollars, and it's like 20% off if you're a new customer. It's like, wow, it's not taking my information. I wonder if I use my Google Voice number, save an extra extra 10%. So it was like an extra $20.
Nice.
So I probably shouldn't say that on YouTube, but it is what it is. These are very high profit homeopathic medicine. I mean, not to get into details.
Hey, whatever works.
Very high profit items, and they ship me second day air UPS. So there's a lot of profit involved in it.
Yeah.
That's expensive to ship it that way. But anyway, thanks for joining us upstate. Is that what it is? Upstate. Yep. Yeah. I tell you guys, I have a big screen monitor. I have a new computer that I was supposed to hook up, and I still haven't hooked it up because I got all my cash piles everywhere around here. But yes, I have to kind of squint a little bit at the chat. So that's what happens when you get old, guys. Just remember. So take advantage of it when you're young. All right, let's get back into the meat and potatoes, as I like to say, since Rachel's not here. Okay. So you sell predominantly one-offs. I know some of your most recent videos and some of your sales have been a lot of plush. So how did you decide to get into plush? Is that just something you find regularly at your thrift stores and at the bins?
You know what? Plush is just one of those things that I think YouTube is making it much more recognized as something that has profit in it. But it truly is one of the things that people overlook. I can go to yard sales and they'll be, plush for $25. And it's ones, giant dolphins people paid, at SeaWorld, and they still have the SeaWorld tags on it. That could sell for like $40 or $50. People just don't realize that there's value in stuffed animals. Now, I will say, before you get crazy and go in stuffed animals, you have to have a place to store them because they are bulky. So keep that in mind. But if you have the space for them, there's a lot of money to be made in plush. Look them up for sure. I plan on doing this week a research video on just some of the high dollar things that you can find. And it's literally things I have seen at yard sales that will sell for hundreds of dollars for an older stuffed animal. So, but as far as what I sell, I'm one of these people that I sell a little bit of everything. I would say what I don't sell would be sports cards because I don't know a whole lot about that. Not very much jewelry. I think if I found something, it was labeled, things like that, I would sell it. And antiques, I don't have a passion for that. Anything else is on the table, from electronics to shoes, clothes, makeup, though HBA, don't get me started. That could be a nightmare.
Well, that's one of our topics. We'll discuss it a little bit later, but I want to talk about how you can make, like I said, there could be a lot of money in plush. And I just want, again, I tell guys, you all know me. You've been lot of your regulars in my chat. I always tell you I'm ADD. So I made a note here. I do have a video on Plus, well, a live stream interview with Robert, the zombie bargain hunter.
He's great.
He is tremendous with Plus. So guys, if you want to learn about Plus, obviously watch Andy's channel, but also check out the video I did with Robert and Robert's channel as well. Robert's a supporter on my channel.
Is another one who Star does
Star,
a lot
Flipping
with
Hippos
Plush.
does a lot with
yes.
Plush. Well, she's connected with Robert.
Yeah.
Let me bring up networking again, guys. It kind of all comes together eventually. When I had Robert on, we were talking, and they just had the Boss Seller Remix in Las Vegas, and they're all kind of all interconnected. Casey the Rockstar Flipper, who I used to moderate a lot for Casey over the years. And then Star, obviously, he's very friendly with Star. Star moved down to Florida, and he's very friendly with Robert, the zombie bargain hunter. But what happened was Casey had met somebody at the meetup, and they had gone to Casey trying to sell him toys and plush, and I think it was mainly toys. And the guy had been collecting toys for a very long time. Well, he's near Robert. Casey's in Florida. Robert's like in the desert of California. Again, because his connection with Casey told this guy, you should really talk to Robert. Robert can be a very good customer for you. The rest is history. So it doesn't hurt the network, guys. Make friends with other resellers. Speaking of Gino Fines is another great reseller that's from Florida. Gino has some really neat videos, guys. And again, Gino was on my channel. So I'll give shout outs to all the great people that are in the chat. I appreciate you guys being here. But anyway, guys, it doesn't hurt to connect you. I was telling Angie earlier, Randy and I talk offline quite a bit, and Randy gives me a lot of tips, and Randy is an extremely good business person, and he's helped me over the last year or so with some of my business things too. And just bounce ideas off of people, make connections, get phone numbers, get emails. Maybe if I found Plush, I had no idea. I know obviously it's different in California than here as far as time zones and whatnot. But if I had a question about Plush, I could probably reach out to Robert. I have Robert's phone number and say, Robert, what do you think about this? Is it worth, and he would be more than happy to help me. So, and you have Mark and Michael. I don't really sell a lot of antiques and those kind of things, but they're experts on glassware and that kind of stuff. They were on my show. They know me very well. I'm getting to know them very well. If I had questions about that kind of thing, I could reach out to them and they'd be more than happy to help me. So, guys, it pays really to network and help each other out. I mean, it's just it's a win-win. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. I was like, guys know I like these old sayings. Okay. All right, so we talked. You do promoting, you do sales. You're not real big on coupons, but you're going to follow Tommy's advice, and you should probably reach out to Tommy about the couponing.
Hey, Tommy has not steered me wrong when it comes to advice for eBay. Seriously,
right? Yeah,
he knows his numbers for sure.
All right, so let's get into a little bit. I wonder. I always kind of pick out a topic as the general topic for the show, and to try to promote the show, so to speak. And we talked about how you source, and you're telling us just recently how you source. How do you keep your costs of goods around that 10%? And you try to sell things that you purchase at 10 times that cost. And like I said, you work up a little bit. You're running sales. How do you manage that? What is it because of your? I know you said you're not a big fan of Goodwills, which we've talked about, and is it because of the bins, or why don't you tell us a little bit about how you keep your cost of goods so low?
I think a lot of it is experience. I started eBay when you couldn't go to your smartphone and look everything up. So you went a lot on gut and things that looked really interesting and out of the ordinary, you took chances on. And so I will still, I still do that today. I'll take chances on things if I just have a gut feeling about it. And usually I'm pretty right about it. And I think the more you do it, the more you sell on eBay, the more, let's face it, once you have sold so many shoes or so many toys, you're going to get a feel for what it is that's selling now. And I think that eBay success comes in your buy. If you buy at the right price, you could sell it, at a good profit and still at a price that somebody would be happy to buy it from. Now, not everything I sell is at, 10%, but that is truly what I strive for, is 10 times my money. My goal is now to find more items that start at $10 and make $100 rather than so many items that are $2 and make $20.
So you want to increase your average selling price.
Yeah, because as one person, you can only do so much. Now, I'm very fortunate. My mom is like my partner with eBay. She works just as hard. I'm sure harder than I do most days on the eBay stuff. So really to have somebody like that helps you is great. But you can only grow so much without adding more people in. And we're comfortable with keeping it like a small or family kind of business. So increasing that average sale price is definitely the way to do that. And that's my goal for sure. But look things up when you can. Don't overlook things like books. Like when you go and the people have a ton of books, you'd be shocked at how many of those sell for really great money. Take chances on things you might not, but don't just go in blindly. If it's a bread and butter item, it's probably not going to be something worth a ton of money. So make sure you're getting it at a great deal.
Now, with books, you do like college textbooks and those type of things, or what, cookbooks, or what are you looking for when you're doing books?
Usually if I'm doing cookbooks, it's going to be vintage books. Right. We are in a college town. University of West Florida is here, as well as a Pensacola State College is here. So we do get a lot of textbooks. I think my main focus, though, is going to be interesting nonfiction. It would be my biggest thing. So if there's an old set of Kung Fu books, that's something I want to look at. If there's some, books on specialty airplanes or, mechanical engineering, something or another, that is something that is so unique.
It kind of really niche down, like
Okay. So the more bizarre it is, the more likely somebody's going to want that. And I also look, if I do nonfiction, it's usually like more of a kid series. I do like to get those, and I'll like buy them if they're super cheap and wait till I have a complete set, like even like Harry Potter. Wait till you have a complete set, and that's going to sell really well because one book from the series is not. But if you get a big, large group of Magic Tree House books, those are going to sell really well for you. So that's also what I look for.
Magic Tree House books, refresh. I don't have children, so tell me a little bit about Magic Tree House books.
Magic Tree House, they go into the tree and it will take them to their little tree house, and it somehow takes them to different times in the world.
Okay,
back to
it's like time traveling.
It's very historical adventures for kids.
Yeah. Okay, so they're a series, and they're pretty profitable, and I guess you find them at the bins and at yard sales.
But any kids books like that they've made a lot of them is a great thing to get a hold of. And if they don't have them all, but you readily find books, you can hold on to like the series and look for the books to fill in, and that's a great way to sell things.
So when you go to thrift stores, you don't have the apps where you scan the books, you just scan it on eBay?
I just scan on eBay, and I mean, if you're into if you want to just be a bookseller, you could definitely do that. And Scout IQ, I think, is a great program that you can use. But I haven't been targeting books because I like hard goods, but I like to do a mixture.
Yeah.
I don't want to get bored with reselling and listing and things. So for me, a variety helps me want to keep going. Cause some days I can plow through clothes, and some days I just don't want to look at another pair of pants.
Clothing for me is difficult.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know women's fashion. So it's when I'm going through, back in the day, everybody was promoting, women, everybody heard my channel knows I talk about women's jean, how it's like the bane of my existence. But anyway, I would know, and I go through through a rack, go through dollar days where I go through the rack, and then I would buy all these things. It's okay, well, I know that, but I don't know women's fashion. I mean, right. Crystal that's used, Rosie's Closet uses in the chat, or Beth Reseller Rowboat, they know fashion. They said even regardless of the brand, they just know the way it looks that's saleable.
Yes.
They buy tunics or muumuus, or I don't know what the technical terms are, but or what's it, grandmothers, whatever that fashion is now. Yep. Grandmother clothing is in cottage. I forget the terminology.
Yeah,
grandmother cottage
clothing that is now in now, believe it or not.
Right. And now women's jeans, the bell bottoms allegedly are coming back into fashion. Yeah,
flare and bell bottoms. Can you believe that?
Yeah, but
I have ones at that. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, and I go out just in general, food shopping or going out to the thrift stores or to Sam's Club or something. I see all these people with these distressed jeans and holes and everywhere. It's who would wear those? But people, I mean, I see people 40, 50 years old wearing those jeans. It's Okay. It's like, I don't get it, but apparently it works.
Yeah, that's
Thank you,
the
Michelle.
style.
Granny core or cottage core? Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you, Michelle. I should have asked the chat. I should know Michelle or Lisa. Somebody would know what that is.
You said Granny Cottage. I was like, that doesn't sound right, but I get the idea.
Well, yeah, it's dyslexic sometimes too. I'm ADD and dyslexic. Okay. All right. We talked about what you're selling. How do you, so I guess mainly you're finding things, I guess, to make that 10 times profit, is because you're finding things at yard sales, and you have year-round yard sales pretty much, other, I guess, than the heat of the summer, garage sales and your bins as well, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And I've done pallets and things, but quite honestly, I don't recommend pallets to somebody unless you are really scaling. I find that most items in pallets are going to be either broken. You'll find a few good items and then a lot of broken, missing part items, or just they're going to fill pallets with a few good items and then a bunch of crap nobody wants. And so just, people get stars in their eyes when it comes to palettes that can make so much money. Now, I used to do health and beauty palettes, and you don't make 10 times your money with that typically, but you could still make anywhere from 5 to 12%, but it's large volume. But unfortunately, it's changed so much on eBay that you can't sell a lot of the health and beauty products anymore. And officially this year was my final one that I said, that's it. I'll never sell any more health and beauty because I was suspended 3 times this year.
I was
for
saying
health
you were
and beauty.
suspended 3 times, and a lot of it was for the private label CVS, correct?
Right. CVS, and that was the last one. CVS said my products were expired, even though they didn't have an expiration date, just because CVS doesn't want anyone selling their products online anymore, even though they'll, sell them liquidation.
Yeah, they sell the liquidators. Who do
Yeah.
you think's happening with that stuff?
Yeah, so I guess they want
Right.
people to sell them at flea markets or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
but not online. And, that's okay. I just wish I used to only buy CVS pallets. So now, now that I know that, I'll never buy another one, so just be leery if you decide you want to jump into pallets. Be careful what you wish for because you might get it. And I've more times than I've hit home runs, I've lost my butt in a pallet. So just, I of course fell into the hole of wanting to be, do that or whatever.
Sure.
Just, from experience, I can tell you it's not necessarily all it's cracked up to be.
Well, I talk about that with other resellers, and some of the resellers out there saying they should. I mean, and you're very transparent with your numbers. I know some other resellers are as well, and Bobby is very transparent with his numbers. A lot of resellers says, "Oh yeah, this was a grand slam, yada yada yada." But what about all the stuff that you didn't make money on? What about the pallet you paid $7,000 and you end up losing $4,000? Yeah, you sold
it happens.
one pallet, you paid 2 and you made 12. What about the one where you lost $5,000? They don't tell you about
those. That's not sexy to talk about those.
Exactly. Right. Yep. So you pretty much stand clear from pallets down. To me, I was telling you about Walmart pallets. Like, you go into Walmart, it's like, how they take these returns back? So I would never buy anything from Walmart returns. I mean, to me, that's terrible.
And so I actually I have to say, the best pallet I did ever get, pallets, was QVC.
Okay.
And it was mostly Christmas items. It was a weird April timeframe, but it was at the time when no one was looking at it. So I got these pallets for like $300 a piece. It was incredible. And that I made quite a bit of money on. But now those same pallets that I've got for $300 a piece are going for $2,500.
Well,
it's like someone turned it on and someone said that they were doing it, and now you can't even touch them for 7 times what I paid. So unfortunately, and now in addition, because of transportation costs and gas prices, you also can't get a pallet. It used to be able to get one shipped to you for like $125. Those days are long gone as well. You pay a lot of money to have them shipped. So unless you can pick them up, then you're really looking at an extra cost with that.
Well, that's the other thing too. I mean, some areas like homeowners associations don't allow those type of deliveries.
Yeah.
And if you do, you have to pay extra for a residential delivery. A lot of places charge you extra for like lift gate delivery. So and then like I said, with the cost of fuel and everything going up, like I said, the cost is way up. And then with the pandemic, how people were sourcing, because they didn't have to physically go out to the thrift stores and yard sales. These things,
Because
but they
everything
were
was
sourcing
cold.
online. A lot of people were doing OA and sourcing pallets and that type of thing. So the prices went through the roof like everything else.
Yep.
Crystal, I shouted out earlier. You got to go to watch a little bit about the video. Yeah, we're talking. Ed Reselling Rider apparently was at the Boss Reselling Remix too. So, guys, if you were close, I mean, that's an opportunity. But it's funny. I was just looking at, just for bleeps and giggles, I was looking at the airfare prices. Like, holy cow! I mean, I was looking at Southwest Airline, which used to fly direct from Philadelphia to Las Vegas. It was
Right.
like $600, and like the low price was $600 round trip.
Wow.
And I was with connecting flights both ways. It's like, holy,
Dang.
and I won't fly like Frontier and Spirit and those places because they charge you like extra this, extra for that, a bag of this. No. And the seats are smaller, the leg room is smaller. But yeah, it's crazy the prices things today. Well, everybody knows that because it's the world we live in. Why don't you touch a little bit? We had mentioned it earlier. Why don't you just touch briefly on Flip and tell us a little bit about Flip and what your experience was with it?
At FlipCon?
No, Flip.
Oh,
the
Flip.
software Flip.
Yeah,
we can talk about FlipCon too. We can touch on that too as well.
No. The Flip.
Right.
Flip is a great tool. It is, fairly new. It's a cross-posting service. So if you want to get into cross-posting to Facebook Marketplace, to Mercari, Poshmark, and I think they're gonna have Etsy, but they don't have it yet. At least with the last time I used it, they did not have Etsy yet, but they are working on it. It is 100% free, which is great. From my understanding, after trying List Perfectly and trying Flip, they essentially do the exact same thing, except for it's free. They also have Poshmark Sharer, so you no longer have to share your closet manually. They also can send offers for you on Poshmark and do all the things that, if you paid a virtual assistant to do, you no longer have to pay anyone for that because they will do all of that for you 100% free. I will say that I found the limitation for me on Flip was Facebook Marketplace. I stopped listing on there because it took a little longer for Facebook Marketplace to process the listings.
Okay.
And I think it was just the communication between the two. So it ended up being a little bit longer of a process than I cared to do. So I really stuck with just Mercari and Poshmark when I did it. But it definitely can do it, especially, for me, when I'm listing like 100 items. So to try to cross-post 100 items and waiting, it took a while. But if you aren't worried about a little bit of extra time because you're only doing 5 or 10 listings, that's not a big deal. You can definitely wait for that to happen. So it really turned out to be a great product. When something sells on one of the platforms, you just go in, you click that it sold, and then it takes it off the marketplaces. As I said before, and I've said it all along, List Perfectly will be great once they can automatically take off your listings from all the platforms after it sells, when it's an automated process. Until then, I just don't see the value in paying for List Perfectly unless they have that service. Flip does the exact same thing, and it is 100% free. And the process for taking things off is exactly the same as List Perfectly. So I'm not saying, I think that's great. I think they have a wonderful product, List Perfectly does. Unfortunately, when we live in a world like we do today, it's a software, and softwares are copied. And Flip has done that and made it available to me and you for free. So why are you going to spend $30 to $70 a month when a product is out there 100% for free for you to use?
Right.
At least that's my, opinion of it. Now, I know that a lot of people promote List Perfectly, but remember, all those people that are telling you to use List Perfectly are getting 30% of your fees every single month that you're a member of that, not just the first month, every month. So of course they're going to tell you to keep using it because they are literally profiting off of your money that you're using. Flip, I'm not getting any money from them. I just recommend them because you can actually improve your business that way.
Right. I haven't used it. Like I tell you guys, I mean, I would say I need to really grow my store and get more listings, but I talk about my health issues, but that's another story. But anyway, I did a little research on Flip, and I've had other people on they've used Flip, and went on Flip's website, and they say that Flip claims it's currently free because they designed the Flip cross lister, that's a mouthful, to support the reseller community as part of their core mission statement, arming the reseller revolution, where resellers can start and grow a consignment business from home, and we wanted to develop an affordable tool to boost their success. The goal was to make reselling more accessible to everyone, hence the free cross lister. So basically, they're making money on their consignment business, so that's why it's currently free. So that's
Right.
and if it's free, is
And
good.
I think they may have advertisers, like, you
Right.
may, like with everything else, there may
Get
be
ads like you do with
like
YouTube or
across the top or
eBay.
whatever, like every app does. Currently, they don't have that, but I could see them doing that. But still, do you mind having a little bar at the top like every other app? If you're getting the service for free and it works, that's the way I look at it. I would not recommend them until I tried it myself. And I have to say, I had very, very little problems. It was, and Poshmark ambassador thing, that's, some people strive to be the
Right.
Poshmark ambassador. I had no shares and no follows. None, guys. I started from zero. And in 5 days, I had met the qualifications for Poshmark ambassador with Flip.
5 days. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they can follow people for you, and they can share other people's closets, and they can share your closet all manually or automatically. You don't do anything but set in your parameters that you want them to do, how many times a day, how many people, how many shares, and it just runs. So it's kind of great.
Right. Okay. There was a couple things I was just reviewing my notes, a couple things we were talking about earlier, and I wanted to ask you a couple things. What is your, I know you're very transparent in your business. What is your daily sell-through rate on your eBay platform?
I try for 1%. Anything at 0.5 to 1.2 is average, but I definitely try to get 1% on average for a week. The way I look at it is weekends, I'm just getting more sales than I will on a Wednesday, typically.
Right.
But on average, if I can do that, I'm super, super happy. Really, anything 0.5 and up is a really good sell-through rate. So I tell people who are new, don't be like freaking out if you have 100 listings and you're only selling one a day or one every other day. That's normal. That's okay.
Right. The other thing I wanted to ask you was, is there anything that you're doing differently for Q4 than you would typically do other periods of the year?
Honestly, no. A lot of
Okay.
people talk about how great Q4 is for them, but I don't sell new items. Q4 is wonderful for people who are selling new items that people are going to buy for gifts. I typically do better first quarter than I do fourth quarter, just because I do a lot of like activewear, exercise gear.
Okay. So people are
I'll
trying to
buy
lose weight
sporting
after the
goods.
holidays.
Yeah. So, and after Christmas, people have money to spend on themselves and to buy cute clothes that, they don't want. And they have returns they've done. And then they start to get their tax returns come early February. So they have expendable money on them. Whereas December, I just am not selling a whole lot of gift things.
Right.
So my sales are pretty average, equal all year long.
Right. Did you want to discuss? I mean, listen, sometimes my brain is mush sometimes, but did you want to just explain to Upstate Scavenger how the sell-through rate is calculated?
How many items?
Daily sell-through rate. Go ahead.
How many items you sell versus how many items you have available for sale.
So let's do simple math. If you have 100 items active listings,
Well,
and you're selling,
your sales divided by the number of listings, that'll tell you what percent.
right.
So if you have 3,000 listings and you're at 1%, that's 30 items a day.
Right. So if you're selling 30 items out of that 1,000, 3,000, I'm sorry, 3,000.
Yeah.
That's 1% sell-through rate.
Right.
And like
so
you said,
you have 100,
0.5% to 1.2% is considered very good.
Yeah, I think that's
That's what all the gurus suggest. Basically try to be around 1% or better sell-through rate. So it's a daily sell-through rate. So But
Yeah.
again, there's obviously you got to factor in margins, like you were talking earlier about health and beauties. The margin is as big, and you're trying to increase your average selling price, so you got to factor that in too. But a 1% daily sell through rate. So, like I said, I do simple math. So if it's
And
1,000, is like is 10.
yeah, and what Adam
1%.
said about me being super transparent about my numbers is don't let somebody fool you if they say they've sold $10,000 this week, because their $10,000 could be with 10% profit. So they could have spent $9,000 on between fees and their product and everything. Whereas if I have $10,000, it's going to take me a lot longer, but my fees are, eBay fees and shipping is probably going to be about 40%. And then my cost is about 5% of that. So, what I'm making on that $10,000 is going to be, double or triple what some other person,
Right.
or someone else could be killing it compared to me. And they got like tons of free inventory somehow or whatever. But you have to see everyone's true numbers. And the other thing I always tell people is don't compare yourself to me or to any other reseller. I'm a full-time business.
Right.
So, if you're just doing it part-time to make some extra money for you and you are doing better than you did last month, you're killing it. That's great. It's exactly where you should be. Work on building yourself up, listing one more item than you did, last week, and just keep working the program. I've been doing this a very, very long time. So you can't expect your numbers or your business to be exactly like mine. And my business is probably crappy compared to someone like Tommy, who's selling like super, great numbers in tennis shoes and stuff. You just don't compare yourself. The worst thing you can do to feel bad about yourself is to be comparing yourself to other people. So don't do that.
Yeah, like anything, there's a learning curve involved, and so that's why you watch these. Like you said, some people aren't as transparent, and some people are trying to keep it clean or blowing smoke. Let's put it that way. But so you got to consider. I mean, Mike flipping goodies that's in the chat. Mike is very transparent with his sales, and there's a lot of good resellers out there. And I tell you guys, that's kind of why I do this. I'm not monetized, but I've learned a lot from other resellers such as Angie, and I try to bring them on and try to help you guys, and as well as myself, to grow my business. So like I said, I was raised by school teachers, and I was taught, to try to help people out. So that's kind of why I do this as well. So one other question I have for you, then I want you to talk about your YouTube channel. Are there any other special apps or websites you use for your business? We talked about Flip, which you don't typically use right now, but any things like Google Lens and those type of things, or anything that you use that might be unusual that we don't use?
Well, everybody should be using Google Lens if you haven't yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think a big thing that I think is super underutilized is Terapeak. Terapeak's
Okay.
free, guys. It's on eBay.
For the store subscription, it's free.
Okay,
eBay.
yeah. And if once you're past the beginner level, most people are going to have a store, at least the smallest store.
Mm-hmm.
Terapeak basically gives you sales for the last year on something. Unfortunately, some items sell really well, in January or February, and not so much now, or like items that are not as well available, easily available, might only have a few sales throughout the year. Terapeak is a great place to give you comps, and it's free. Worth Point, I know, is a great thing. It tells you years back. If you're a collectible seller or something like that, sure, go ahead and use that. But if you're just like me doing average items, Terapeak is your friend. And if you're doing YouTube content, here, let me see what it's called. Hold on.
I'm just going to interrupt you for 1 second. You didn't hear this from me, guys. I always talk about networking, Worth Point, networking, wink, wink. Continue.
Oh, yeah. If you are getting into YouTube, I know a lot of people who are on here are also YouTubers. I actually heard from Carrie, American Arbitrage. He uses InShot to do shorts and reels, and it puts it to TikTok, to YouTube, to Instagram, to Facebook. So that's a thing that I'm starting to use as a YouTuber, not necessarily a reseller, but InShot is a great little app that you get on your phone. I think it costs $5 for the pro version.
It's not bad. I'd heard that as well. I watch a lot of the YouTube channels.
Yeah, and so that is something new that I'm using to make shorts and reels and things. So not really reseller related, but something if you're interested in, increasing your YouTube, definitely look into that. It is a really good program to help you schedule and get the short videos, which are growing now. Like it's going to be crazy on YouTube, I think.
Yeah, well, like I said, they're going after the TikToks of the world, so they're trying to promote their shorts and so.
And yes, what Tommy said, average sale price.
Yeah, that's what Tommy said. Tommy, thank you, sir. All right, guys, we're getting around that point, so I want Angie to tell you guys about her YouTube channel and some of her social media. She mentioned earlier about her podcast. I want you to tell everybody about your reselling channel, your podcast, et cetera, et cetera.
Awesome. Well, I would love it if you are here and you're not subscribed to me to come on over and subscribe. My YouTube is Angie Resells, and I am talking about all things eBay, living debt-free, just how to eBay, and then, throwing in stuff about my life and in general. I do a live auction and sale on Saturday night. At least now I'm currently doing that. It's kind of fun, and we do a lot of giveaways. I do what sold videos, thrift with me videos, and I am going to start doing some interesting research videos just on some of the things that I sell that I think are kind of neat and things that are underserved that you should be looking for. So that's some things that'll be coming up. The other thing is I do Let's Do Lunch podcast with Rachel Strickland and Kristen, a rural squirrel. That is Fridays at noon Central. Our channel is growing like super fast. We've had like really great, great warm welcome from the community for our podcast. It's just reselling from a woman's perspective, but obviously guys are welcome. We've had guys on the channel. We'll continue to have guys on the channel. So men are definitely welcome. We'd love to have you. So that can be found at Let's Do Lunch podcast. And if you're out and about, you can actually listen to us on Spotify or any of the other syndicated channels. So would love to have you be a part of my channel.
There you go, guys. Yeah, so I mean, the podcasts are up and coming. Not up and coming. They've been popular for several years now, but they're really growing like crazy. And I had mentioned earlier, for those of you that are in my chat, I'm still trying to get the watch hours. Just remember, on YouTube, you got to have the volume turned up a little bit. And some people would say, well, I'll play your playlist. I have a Reselling Rhythms playlist that has all my different interviews. But you got to play the volume up a little bit, or
doesn't
YouTube
count.
Doesn't count exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, you can play my interviews just like podcasts. Listen to them. If something you're interested in, you can stop doing what you're doing, and maybe make a note at the time frame that happened, and go back and rewatch it or whatever. So
absolutely.
Anyway, guys, appreciate you guys all being here. And as I always tell you guys, and mentioned a couple times earlier, I want to remind you too to hit that like button. I keep forgetting to tell you guys earlier in the show to hit the like button. You leave before you hit the like button. That helps your channel as well on YouTube. So want to remind you guys about that. If you can smash the like button before you leave. And I mentioned earlier, if you're enjoying the channel, I'm not monetized, so I greatly appreciate it. I have things like buy me a cup of coffee, Cash App, PayPal, etc. And I mentioned earlier Randy several times. Randy has a website with some really neat stuff. He has coffee, tea, spices, and old-fashioned candies. And at no cost to you guys, Randy is kind enough to pay me a commission if you buy anything from his store. And all that information, as well as Angie's links, are in my description of the video. So if you put an AE after your name when you register for Randy's website, Randy is kind enough to pay me commission, no cost to you guys. So anyway, folks, I appreciate your time. I always say time is your most valuable asset. I'd like to thank Angie for her time, and also those of you that are here for the live and watching the replay. And like I said earlier, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up, subscribe, turn notifications on. So it greatly helps the channel. Okay, guys, I think I have somebody lined up for next Wednesday, hopefully. It's going to be,
nice.
It'll be a clothing seller, men's clothing mainly. So I'm going to get that hooked up for you guys. So we'll be back here next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Thank you all. Great seeing you here.
Bye, everyone. Thanks again.